going through a divorce is absolutely no fun at all. And if you're a Washington State employee going through a divorce, your situation gets even more complicated because of your retirement benefits. You have to figure out what is fair to divide your pension. You have to look at your defined contribution plan and plan 3 for comp, home equity, things like that. So going through divorce and splitting things evenly as Washington State employee is kind of a tricky business. So it's important to hire the proper attorney and people that know how to do the right calculations to make sure everyone actually does come out 50-50. In today's video, we're talking about how divorce affects Washington State employees. So the first thing to know is that when it comes to time to splitting your assets, the only assets that are on the table that are considered community property are the ones that were earned during the time that you were married. So if you were married for a 15-year period of time, any service credits you earned that time or pension you accumulated, the money you put into Plan 3 or 403Bs, that's all on the table and considered community property, and that's what's subject to be split. Anything earned after that time is yours to keep, although the calculations that they do, the ex-spouse is going to keep a percentage of it. So after the divorce, you worked more, earned more money, and your pension ended up being higher than what they said it would be during the time of the divorce filing. The spouse actually would come ahead and make a little bit more than you originally thought they would. So we'll dive into the math of that later on in this video. So when it comes time to splitting up your pension agreement, what we're looking for is how much service credits you earned during the years you were married. So going back to the example, if you're married for 15 years, let's say you're a Plan 3 member, you earned 15 years of service credits. So they're going to get 50% of those 15 years that you worked, which would be about 7.5 years, or barely 7.5%. But the reality is it really depends on how long you end up working, because they're going to get a percentage of your total pension pay. So they may not know how much your ex-spouse is going to receive until you actually retire. Because if you work, 30, 40 years, your pension is going to be a lot different, and they may get a different percentage of that. So what they're trying to do is give the ex-spouse a total percentage of however long you worked. For example, if you were married for 10 years and you worked a 30-year career, so you're married for 10 full years, you got divorced, you worked 20 more years. So you had a 30-year career in education or worked for real estate, doesn't really matter. By 10 of those years you're married for, they would say, hey, we're married for those 10 years. Spouse is entitled to half of those benefits. If 30 years represents 100% of our pension, and the 10 years would be about 33% of our total pension, she would get half of that, or half of 33%, she'd be entitled to 16%, 5 years worth, basically, of your pension. So if your total benefit, your retirement was $1,500 per month, she would be entitled to 16.7% of it, about $250. So let's say after the divorce, you end up earning more, and your total benefit when you retired was about $2,500. So you ended up increasing your salary in a way, working the formula that your actual pension payment was $1,000 more than they estimated back during the divorce filing. Spouse is still entitled to 16.7% of that amount. So of that $2,500, they get 16.7% of it, which is roughly $417 per month. So even after your divorce is finalized, any increase in your pension, they may still be entitled to a portion of it. Now, it's not always the case. I've seen some people that leave a divorce with their pension fully intact. The spouse didn't get any of it. Instead, they gave them the Plan 3 account or the 403 account, whatever it is to make it even. They wanted to keep their pension intact. That's probably the most common example I've seen. A lot of clients that have come to me post-divorce are coming to me with pensions intact, but Plan 3 is gone, and they're basically starting from scratch again. Now, it's how you guys want to proceed through it is ultimately up to you, and whatever your lawyer and legalese all figure out what the right deal is. Most times this is the case, is you're leaving your ex-spouse the home, then let's say you had enough equity in the home that offset what the future or present value is of the pension, and then you come up 50-50. So to put it in layman's terms, if the equity in your home was $300,000 and they estimated the value of your pension in actual dollars, it's about $300,000. If one spouse gets the home, one spouse gets the pension, you both essentially got $300,000 in its own unique way. You're considered equal. So as long as you guys are equal, that's what all the court's trying to do here. So that's most common practice I've seen. Last year I actually had the opportunity to work with someone going through the divorce proceedings and their attorney. The attorney didn't know the Plan 3 system or how the benefits work, so I was able to step in, help them figure out the numbers. That attorney was dead set on having everything split 50-50. So in that case, half the pension went to the spouse and then half of the Plan 3 or DCP went to the spouse as well. There's a lot of different ways to split it. All depends on what you guys agree upon and how it shakes out for you guys to be even. When it comes to splitting assets, like retirement assets, anything that's being moved from a pre-tax account has to be moved to another pre-tax account. So in the case of like just splitting as, let's say, a DCP, basically what happened would be the ex-spouse, the money would be split inside of DRS, and half that money would be placed into another DCP account or Plan 3 account, whatever it was. They're basically going to create a copy of whatever account that was and we place in the spouse's name. So even though they're not a state employee, they would still have a just DCP or Plan 3 account with the state, just so the money could transfer over and they're able to split it. Now, once that process is done, as long as that spouse isn't working for the state, that money can essentially be moved out. They can roll it over into a 401k, IRA, whatever they want to do with it. Now, splitting retirement and assets in retirement is not a taxable event. So you cutting your account in half isn't going to kill you in taxes. Moving money that you received in a divorce out of Washington State into an IRA, again, not a taxable event. Any type of pre-tax money is only taxed when you decide to withdraw it and actually spend the money. As long as it stays inside of some type of tax-deferred account, you're not owing taxes on any type of transfers that go on in there. Next thing to look at is your survivor benefits. So on a lot of accounts, especially your pension or any of your retirement accounts, you have beneficiaries listed. You want to make sure that you review those post-divorce to see if anything wants to change. I've met with some people that still want their ex-spouse to receive their retirement accounts to help take care of the kids that she's watching. And I've seen the other way around where they want to take it off as soon as possible. It's completely up to you guys, but you want to make sure that's a part of your process is reviewing your accounts. The last thing you want to do is forget to do this, something happens, and money goes to your ex-spouse instead of your kids because you forgot to make this step. So make sure you review your beneficiary accounts on everything to make sure it's up to date. Remember that beneficiaries listed in your retirement accounts will supersede your will. So even if you think you're smart, go to the attorney, you change your will, and you say, hey, my retirement accounts are all going to go to my kids. If the beneficiary report that's filed at the institution says it's your ex-spouse, it's going to your ex-spouse. It doesn't matter what your will or whatever document you show the court says, the beneficiary report always supersedes your will. So you need to make sure the beneficiary reports are always accurate. Next tip is to make sure you review your healthcare insurance post-divorce. So you want to look and see, if you were on your other spouse's coverage. If they remove you, which I'd assume they probably would, you make sure you have to find your own healthcare coverage. You don't want to be caught off guard with no insurance. And in some cases, I've seen healthy divorces where they do keep their ex-spouse on as a family member on their healthcare plan. So you're going to have to work that out to figure out what you want to do with healthcare. But you just want to make sure that if you remove someone from your plan, that it's not going to change your healthcare drastically where you have to shop for different coverages. Maybe your doctors accept that insurance plan. So you want to think a little bit ahead to see how it's going to affect you. Now, the last step you want to do is redo any of your financial plan. Your situation has changed drastically. Instead of filing married, you'll be filing single. Went from the best tax filing status to the worst. So you may end up paying more in taxes now, even if you're making less money. So you want to redo any of your finances, obviously your budget, look at your taxes again, redo your financial outlook to see how it affects retirement. So losing half my retirement benefits can cause me to work longer or will not affect it at all. Can I make it on half as much money because I'm only supporting me and maybe I don't have that high of standard of living? So it's just a couple of things to think about as you're going through the whole process. So as you can see, divorce can cause a lot of different shakeups and there's a lot more to look at besides just the emotional aspect of it all. But with proper planning, you can get yourself right back into financially fit shape. So you found this video helpful, you want more videos like this, and you want some free downloads, checklists, and guides, head over to our website. We have free downloads in our resource section. That's just WATRSPERS.com. That's WashingtonTRS.com. Go there to find all your free resources and guides. Until next time, remember that your future depends on what you do today.